Hey guys, it's Nate the Movie Guy, and I'm going to do something a little different. I'm not going to be talking about a movie today, but rather the Disney Plus series, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi has to save young Leia after she's kidnapped, all the while being pursued by Imperial Inquisitors and his former Padawan, now known as Darth Vader. As an absolutely huge, massive fan of the prequels, the announcement of this show and Ewan McGregor returning as the titular character was huge for me. Ever since, what was it, like 2019 when they announced the show, I was there, seated. I was seated day one, okay? When the show entered, it got indefinitely delayed because of script rewrites and things like that. Yes, it was upsetting because the show wouldn't come out sooner, but I'm glad they did it because what we got was so damn good. If you're a fan of the prequels, you will be fed immensely, alright? This show this show is just fantastic. Its character writing is stellar. Some of the best character writing, I think, in the entire Star Wars franchise. I'm just going to say this right off the bat. There are some really just awesome fan servicey moments, and I know Star Wars kind of has a fan service problem. Even The Mandalorian, which I think is a fantastic show, has a few moments of just like, ooh, look at this thing. You remember that thing from that part of the, remember that thing from the prequels? We're all just like, yeah, okay. And Rise of Skywalker was, sure was a movie. This show, I think, its fan service, I think, is pretty harmless. And as a prequel fan, even if it was like shameless fan service, I don't care, because some of the it's not even anything crazy. It's not like, the Rise of Skywalker having, the destruction of the second Death Star being a plot device. It's just like harmless little thing like a repeated line or like a certain like background thing, and it's all pretty harmless. So I wouldn't be worried about fan service. If you're a prequel fan, the fan service here, you'll be all for it. But man, I think easily the best part of this show is Darth Vader. Wow, he is the most terrifying he's ever been in this show. I mean, he is ruthless. If you thought the Rogue One hallway scene was brutal, Episode 3. That's all I'm going to say about that. He's always been like the best villain of all time in my eyes, but now he is easily not only just the best villain in my eyes, but easily the scariest villain ever. Not just in Star Wars, but in fiction. I just love villains. I'm a huge villain. Every time a movie has a villain character, not just like, oh, time is the villain or whatever. Like whenever there's like a physical threat for the main characters to face, I'm all for it. And if the villain's weak, then I'm upset. But thankfully, all the villains in this show are great. Not just Darth Vader. I think Reva is a very well-written character. Now, in terms of Moses Ingram's performance, I think she was just okay. I think she was really great in the finale. I think she really shined. But I think in terms of the rest of the show, she was pretty weak compared to everybody else. Hayden Christensen gave a fantastic performance. James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader, again, fantastic. But the real star of the show is, well, I think it's pretty obvious. Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor himself. He is so good in this show. Easily his best performance as this character. His character is so well written here. He starts off so guilty and depressed, and he has PTSD from his part in Order 66, what he did, or how he failed Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, and that still haunts him even 10 years later when this show takes place. And it's so heartbreaking to see not only one of the coolest characters in Star Wars, but one of my favorite characters of all time just go through things like that. And I think the portrayal of PTSD and guilt here is so realistic. It was brutal. It was heart-wrenching watching Obi-Wan deal with this stuff. But his arc in overcoming that is, and getting through, and leaving and putting his character in a better place for A New Hope. I think they did it so well, and it was so beautiful to me. Also, I just loved all the cool surprises, not just like the little fan servicey things, but like in terms of actual story, there was a lot of surprises here. Disney did an awesome job of keeping the actual story under wraps until the show came out. And also seeing a young Princess Leia, like, that's such a good idea. And it explains how she knows Obi-Wan in A New Hope, and it just adds so much weight to her calling for his help in that film. And it just overall, everything in this show just adds weight. And everything in A New Hope matters just a little more because of the events of this show. I won't get into spoilers, obviously, but it's just really cool to see how now a movie that's over 40, almost 50 years old is retroactively made better by a show that just came out in the year 2022. And it's really, really awesome. And watching A New Hope after finishing this show is like a requirement, because it just, like I said, it just adds so much to the characters and the story of that film. And man, let me talk about the finale. I won't get into spoilers, but the finale of this show was just, wow. I mean, I can't even begin to describe it. It was emotional, it was action-packed, and it's everything you want out of a series finale. I mean, if this doesn't end up on, like, you know, Watch Mojo's, you know, billionth, you know, top 10 best TV finales list, then we failed as a society. Start over, destroy Hollywood. It's over, we're done. It was heart-wrenching and beautiful and action-packed, and it just left the characters in a great spot for where they start in A New Hope. My only real complaint with the show is that episode 4 is pretty weak compared to the rest of them. Not to say it's bad. It's not a bad episode. It's still entertaining to watch, and there's some still cool moments with Obi-Wan and Reva. But in terms of the actual story and, you know, the overarching plot and all that, it doesn't really add too much. It's still worth a watch because it's entertaining and it's fun. It's a fun watch. It's just some pure fun Star Wars action with nothing too crazy going on. But yeah, it's pretty weak compared to the rest of the show. So, Obi-Wan Kenobi. This show is... It is everything I could have wanted from this show. When this show was announced in 2019, I was hyped to see it at day one. But in 3 years later, I feel completely satisfied, and I'm so happy that Ewan McGregor got to come back, that Hayden Christensen got to come back, and it was just a really, really fun time. Some of the best Star Wars can be found right here in this show, especially the finale, and I'm going to give Obi-Wan Kenobi the Nate seal of approval. Check out some more reviews coming out in the very near future. I'm Nate the Movie Guy. Thanks for watching.